5th, our first meeting of April. I'm Tony Kemper, president of our club, head of the DePaul School, and to lead us in this afternoon's invocation is Renee Brown. Renee is pastor of Living Faith Christian Ministries, a director of our club, and a Paul Harris Fellow. Renee?
Thank you, President.
Tony, many of you all know my wife Sharon, who is the Dean of the Business School at Bellarmine, and through that I've gotten to know Dr. Donovan a little bit since she's been in town roughly a year, and I can tell you she's doing a fantastic job getting plugged into the community and being in a lot of different events, not just Bellarmine events, but around town, and hopefully she's enjoying it, and hopefully she'll get a chance to enjoy the Derby this year. So everybody should experience that at least once. Before I introduce Dr. Donovan specifically, a couple tidbits about Bellarmine. As many of you know, it's a Catholic university which educates students not only but in mind but in body and spirit. Undergraduate enrollment is approximately 2,700. Graduate enrollment is approximately 1,300. 40% are first-generation college students. 30% are eligible for and receive Pell Grants. 70% of the students are from Kentucky. 40% of the students are from Jefferson County. Most graduate in 4 years, and most stay in the general area. Bellarmine degrees prepare students that are to be teachers, accountants, business leaders, and entrepreneurs, and educate them in, as said before, mind, body, and spirit. Dr. Donovan's here today to tell us a little bit more about Bellarmine's strategic plan, as well as how it helps anchor our city and our citizens. In February of 2017, the Bellarmine Board of Trustees and Presidential Search Committee announced with unanimous decision the hiring of Dr. Donovan to be the 4th president at Bellarmine. Dr. Donovan comes to us from Loyola University, Maryland, where she spent 32 years. While at Loyola, she did a lot of different things, served in a number of capacities in the leadership roles there. 6 years as executive vice president, acting president, dean of students, vice president for student development, interim vice president for advancement, dean's council member, academic senate member for more than 20 years. In addition to that, she served on a number of boards, as you might imagine, as well as serving as a trustee for 2 other universities. She's assisted in Bellarmine in taking the next step, as I know we've all read about recently in the paper, and some of the great things that Bellarmine is doing. We're very fortunate to have her here. She's married to Bill, who's also in academia. He's an associate professor of Latin American Studies at Bellarmine. They have 2 twin daughters that I know keep them busy as they're still in school. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Susan Donovan.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Steve. I think I can eliminate a couple of the pages about Loyola in the front of this, which is fine. I'm honored to be here and to learn more about the Rotary. We've been trying to get it on my schedule all year. It's been a little busy, but I think it's wonderful to have such a great example here for Bellarmine and for our students. And how many alumni do we have here in the room from Bellarmine? Well, thank you all for coming out. It's great to see you. We've partnered with the Rotary over the years. So somebody mentioned that to me before, and one example of that is with Bellarmine and the Rotary Club partnered on micro-lending effort in Belize. Rotary members offered financial support for the project and business advice to students and borrowers in Belize. And typical businesses were small groceries, farmers, hair salons, food trucks, and loans at $200 to $300 each. And this successful project financed numerous microloans and brought Bellarmine students and small Belizean business owners together for meaningful cultural exchange. I want to talk first about a little bit about Bellarmine, what Steve didn't mention. I always love to give those stats about the 40% first generation, because I think most people don't think of that at Bellarmine, and it's something I take great pride in. I and my husband are both first generation college students ourselves, and one of the things I've certainly experienced about that at Bellarmine is the gratitude that our students have for the education that they receive. And I noticed that in December when we had a graduation, and to a student, when they came across this stage, they all thanked me, and I was really sort of blown away from that, blown away by that. So I think if you have the opportunity, hopefully, to come onto campus or meet our students, you will see what an example of a grateful young people that they are. But I also want to talk a little bit about our mission, our community service work, and as Steve mentioned, providing an anchor to the community, something that is really important to me and to our mission. And then finally ask you to talk to you a little bit about our strategic planning process, which is an 18-month process that we've just started this year. Many of you may have been interviewed. We've interviewed over 80 community members to really, in a SWOT analysis. That's 80 community members in the city. We've reached over all of our alumni, board of sponsors, board of trustees, and a number of groups with a SWOT analysis at the beginning of the strategic plan. So I think people realize it's a Catholic institution founded by an archbishop, Archbishop John Flourish, and our first president was Monsignor Horrigan, well-known and respected priest who was a civil rights leader. Our second president was Eugene Petrick. His wife is still alive today, Helen Petrick, who came into the college and really energized it in the 70s and expanded academic programs into one of the region's leading colleges. And then, of course, many of you probably knew Dr. Joseph McGowan, then in 1990, who brought his Jesuit sensibilities and his New York street smarts from Fordham University to Bellarmine, and with his Vision 2020, and resulted in an explosion of growth. I have a lot of people who say to me, well, what's it feel like to follow such a legend, and isn't that really difficult to wear those shoes? And I said, well, I certainly would. I've inherited a great place, so it's great to follow a great president. I would prefer that over following a horrible president. So it doesn't bother me at all that we have this fine institution that three very strong presidents led and worked toward, and brings us here today. Primarily now, as was mentioned by Steve, we're 2,700 students, 1,300 graduate programs. The graduate programs have been a big boost to the institution. Everyone knows these days that undergraduate education is challenging, that there's a decline in the number of students attending college, so it's a very competitive process. But to me, the residential college liberal arts experience is alive and well and very important, not only to Louisville, but to our society at large and globally. I'm not going to go over the statistics that were already mentioned to you. We do have 53 undergraduate majors in arts and sciences, and we also offer more than 160 study abroad programs in 60 countries and on 6 continents. Our graduate programs, we have 30 graduate programs, and that's an area that continues to grow. We just received accreditation recently on a couple new programs, which I'll mention. The job market continues to evolve, and so do we. In fact, Bellarmine's fast becoming a destination for online programs and degrees in new fields like business analytics and digital media. 4 of our newest graduate programs are 100% online. That's a master's in education and higher education leadership and social justice, a master's in education, a master of arts in education, a master of health sciences. And in addition, we've just added a Master of Health Sciences in Respiratory Therapy and a Master's of Science in Athletic Training. And many of these are career change opportunities in high-demand fields. Our student athletes play in 21 varsity sports in the NCAA Division II, plus we have Division I men's lacrosse. About 20% of our students are student athletes, and on top of that, about 35 club sports and more than 30 intramural sports. So our students stay very, very active physically. One attribute that sets Bellarmine apart, I think, is that we find our Catholic identity in the inclusive spirit of Thomas Merton. If you haven't been to campus and you have a great interest in Thomas Merton, we do hold the Thomas Merton papers in the library, and it's accessible to people at any point. So he was the world-renowned Trappist from the monk of the Abbey of Gethsemane, or he was a monk there, which my husband and I had the opportunity in the fall to go over with our theology department to Gethsemane, and I was really blown away by the experience that day. If you haven't done that, that's worth a drive. And we actually have several experts on our faculty in the theology department. It's a very young, actively engaged research department. So they might even be good ones to speak here, and they range in terms of their research, the topics that they cover. Thomas Merton's writings were on truth and religious inquiry, the nature of humanity, and the value of cross-cultural and interfaith awareness, and advocacy for peace, social justice, and sustainability. I think these are all contemporary issues that not only Bellarmine, but the Rotary seem to support as well. So what are the results of this Bellarmine experience? 99% of our graduates are working or continuing education 6 months after graduation. 91% of our graduates are in the career field of their interests, what they were educated for. Our bachelor's degree grads earn an average of $43,000 at the start of their careers, and our graduate students earn the average of $68,000 as starting salary. So our undergraduate and graduate professional degrees prepare nurses, teachers, entrepreneurs, accountants, business owners, inspirational leaders for the region of Louisville. Bellarmine's economic impact was cited in a report in 2015 as $248 million into the Louisville economy. But we also have an impact of transforming the region's culture and character. We attract and develop top-level talent that engages community through leadership and service. I want to mention just a few examples from our faculty and our students of the work that they're doing in our community. In education, we have a Baltimore Literacy Project within the Jefferson County Public Schools that gives teachers and principals proven tools to lift children out of poverty. This project involves 60 elementary schools with the greatest number of children at risk of reading failure, and trains 500 teachers and principals to serve them. As a result of this project, in its third year, up to 12,000 children will benefit from the evidence-based literacy program. And the instruction in grades K through third grade during the 2016-17 year and beyond. And this is in addition to the 16,000 students who have already benefited from the project in year 1 and 2. In business, we have pursued social entrepreneurship and creative economic solutions to urban problems. One professor volunteers at a state prison, teaching life skills and leading a non-denominational worship service for inmates. Another helps students become IRS certified tax preparers, and they prepare free tax services. Last year, 200 low-income clients, saving $40,000 in tax preparation fees and generating $298,000 in refund money to those who were very needy. A third faculty member will take students to the Louisville Urban League this year to analyze data and help them understand and communicate the community impact of their social service programs in health, housing, education, jobs, and justice. In health services, Bellarmine goes forth into the community to heal through the Michael Hobbs Service Learning Clinic, the nation's first endowed physical therapy clinic, 3 other pro bono clinics throughout the community, including a pediatric clinic for infants through 8-year-olds with neurological conditions such as cerebral palsy and spina bifida. Physical therapy program also collaborates in a dance therapy program to reduce symptoms for people with Parkinson's disease. And students and faculty in physical therapy, nursing, exercise science, and medical laboratory science collaborate in an active steps program for people with diabetes in the West Louisville neighborhood of Park Diwali. For the environment, and in line with Pope Francis Laudato Si, faculty members serve on the boards of local and statewide conservation groups, including Kentucky Interfaith Power and Light and Kentucky Conservation Committee. I think you've seen by these examples just how involved Bellarmine is with the community, the resources that our faculty offer and that our students commit to in service. Suffice it to say that we perform more than 24,000 hours of community service each year. And our alumni continue their lives of leadership and service after they graduate. I know that you know some of them here in the room. We also have a husband and wife team who met as students at Bellarmine and raised thousands of dollars every year for a food pantry in Appalachia, and then take 30 of our alumni there on an annual service trip for service. Bellarmine intends to continue this deep commitment and connection to the community going forward. And a case in point is the exciting news that was mentioned earlier and announced last week. Bellarmine is under contract to purchase the Watterson Medical Center. It's an 80,000 square foot health facility at 3430 Newburgh Road, along with equipment and the surrounding land, which is adjacent to sports fields that we recently acquired and have begun to develop. This purchase serves 2 purposes. The investment in real estate helps to diversify our revenues in our endowment, and also it supports the mission to benefit the public interest and improve the human condition. We know that the Watterson Medical Center is a mix of primary care and specialty services, including healthcare programs for U.S. veterans, and it makes it a community, an important community asset, especially in the neighborhoods surrounding it, which have more challenging health outcomes than other parts of Louisville. Owning this medical center will help us find ways to enhance that community and provide valuable health services. We intend to continue to honor those leases in that facility as long as they're interested, and until we, in our own strategic planning, will determine how we might better partner with them. A recent study in the Louisville Metro Center for Health Equity illustrates the importance of a strong medical facility in this area. The neighborhoods surrounding Watterson have death rates from diabetes, cancer, heart disease, HIV/AIDS that are higher than the local and national averages. This purchase was partially funded in a great way to the $5 million anonymous gift that we received from a generous couple who believed in the Bellarmine mission, and also the opportunities for student learning and community service that this acquisition provides. It's the largest outright individual gift in the university's history. Owning the center presents great opportunities for Bellarmine, including our current academic programs and our students for internships, service learning, and community service in our College of Health professions, and engagement with the community, providing excellent academic programs and responding to the needs of society speak to our Bellarmine's founding and our character. We want to be a good neighbor, and it's fundamental to our mission to seize the opportunity and the unlimited possibilities that this will provide for physical therapy, nursing, health services, exercise science, and athletic training. We look forward to continuing to work on this project, and if any of you are involved with these and you have ideas, we are open to discussion. The timing of this was perfect, as I mentioned, with the strategic planning process that we're in. It's a time for us to dream about what's next for Bellarmine, how we work to improve the human condition and the community around us, how we continue to provide transformational experiences for our students. So we have work groups now that are working on the themes from that. We haven't announced those on campus yet or to our trustees, but we have been very appreciative of all the conversations we've been able to have. And so we hope you as Rotarians will also help provide your input. We share humanitarian interests, and your membership is in touch with the needs of this community. If you have ideas, please let me know, and I can put you in contact with the people on campus who are doing this. We welcome your input, and we count on it. Whatever the final plan produces, I assure you that Bellarmine will never back away from our responsibility towards our neighbors, our city, the region, or the world. And this University on the Hill continues to educate the whole student body, mind, and spirit, and will continue to serve as a community of teachers and learners who understand that liberal arts, professional and graduate education are the keys that open doors for every person with a Bellarmine education. And I'm open to questions after this. Thank you.
Is John O'Callahan here? I thought I saw John earlier. I may have a tough time with the light in. If you know, John's family, I believe, were instrumental, and former Rotarian Frank, instrumental in securing the Merton papers that are at Bellarmine.
Okay.
So one more connection between Bellarmine and our club, Dr. Donovan. Any questions? Yes, Jerry.
I'm Jerry Martin, a former member of the Board of Overseers a few years ago. I thought with this, the audience of Rotary here, you might mention the Veritas program, which I've really enjoyed. I'm currently taking a course on Winston Churchill, but I think there are a number of people in this room, if they haven't heard of it, they'd enjoy hearing about it.
So we have a Veritas program, which has 400 members, I think, which is smaller courses, taught many by volunteers or retired faculty. I think my husband's actually going to teach in it next fall. They're usually, I want to say, around 6-week sessions, 6 to 8 week, the classes. And then they dine on campus. Look it up at Veritas if you have any interest in continuing that. They're very popular courses, and it's great to have community members on campus wandering through our classrooms and our buildings. So I think you'll find it as a worthwhile endeavor if you so choose to. Yes.
I'm Dave Luckett. Being a Roman Catholic institution, how many Roman Catholics do you have on your Roman Catholic priests do you have on your faculty?
We do not have a lot of Roman Catholic priests on our faculty. We have 2 full-time Roman Catholic priests. One is actually from India. He's the oldest in his order. He's 40 years old. And he's on our campus ministry program. He does a great job, Father John. Many of you may know Father Clyde Cruz, who remains at the university, is very active on campus. We have 50% of our students, faculty that are Catholic at Bellarmine. And it's very alive and well. We offer Mass on campus at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening at the beautiful chapel there. So if anybody's interested in that, you're all welcome.
Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Barbara Sexton Smith, and thank you so much for spending so much time talking about the recent real estate acquisition of the medical facility. Sure. My question is, I'm very concerned about the veterans who have become accustomed and very familiar with using that facility that was put there for their convenience. So will the veterans who are using that facility be able to continue to do so, and for how long? And will there come a time when they will be required to go somewhere else for their services?
Yeah, well, that's certainly not our intention, and we're concerned about veterans too. I'm glad you brought that up. We actually have started an initiative with veterans, recruiting veterans actually to Bellarmine, and we have just designated a new veteran space. Rick Brown, who I was just thinking today I should have brought with me, who's here, is leading up our veterans area on campus, and we have about 80 veteran students currently attending classes at Bellarmine, but we would like to see that grow. As far as the Veterans Administration at the Watterson, they have a 5-year contract, and they have we've been told that there is a 5-year renewable, but no, it's important to us. It was actually very important to the donor. The donor that who gave the $5 million was a veteran himself, so he frequented the facility. We have been meeting with the agents. We are in no rush for anyone to leave. We actually see some good partnerships with our physical therapy and some of the programs that we offer. Ideally, when space becomes available, I would like to see a more public clinic for our physical therapy. We have a clinic on campus, but it's mostly used by employees, but I would like to see one that could be used more broadly for others. It's a great experience for our students and a great community service.
In your first year as the university leader, what are some of the revelations that have come forth, maybe even unexpectedly, that bring you great joy and great pride in your university?
Yeah. Well, I have been really overwhelmed with the hospitality that is so characteristic of Louisville and is very characteristic of Bellarmine. It was a closed search. People have mentioned that. I know that's come up this week with University of Louisville too, which I look forward to meeting Dr. Benaputi from Louisville. But I've been really overwhelmed by the opportunities to really be engaged in the community, and what a great network there is in Louisville that is so ripe for our students, our graduate students and our undergraduate students. So to me, that's probably been the most overwhelming experience, is just occasions like this where people get together and work in the better interest of the city and the region. And I was in Baltimore for a long time, and I was working on that, but Loyola was not as engaged, very engaged in student community service, but not as engaged in the community itself. And so this is ripe for us, and it's something that is going to be easy to demonstrate to students how we want them to live their lives by the examples that they see in the community here.
Dr. Susan Donovan. Oh, Leland, did you have a question?
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Donovan. Leland Woodmansey, formerly of the Medical Society here. What do you, I realize you cannot really share what's going to come out of the strategic plan, but as you interviewed for the position, you must have some thoughts about what your own personal emphasis will be as president at Bellarmine, and what 40 years from now when you retire, what you would like your legacy to be.
Yeah. Well, yes, I think one of the things that I talked about when I interviewed was to ensure that we have a sustainable business model. And as most know, that's challenging. The cost of tuition has been very high. While Bellarmine's is perceived to be very high, we spend a lot on aid. But that is something that I'm going to be looking at in terms of how can we get the tuition down, not up, and really get our ticket price down, because we're really competing with many public institutions as well as private, and we want our education to be accessible. I think we have some big ideas in the strategic planning process. I don't know where they'll land. I'm happy to share some of the things that have come up. One of them has been a veterinary school. Is that something that this area needs, or this state needs? I have no idea. That's something that'll be studied. co-op experience where students might be working during, I mean, many of our students work anyway, but whether that be in business or whether that be in communications, there's some institutions that have made themselves known for that. I think that might fit really well with Bellarmine students and education. Healthcare will continue, you know, gerontology and healthcare, that'll continue to be a strong suit for us. Analytics within our School of Business, the Ruble School of Business, is something that's very important to us, and we're going to start to put some resources, greater resources into that. I think students need that not only at the graduate level in the MBA program, but also in the undergraduate program. So we want to be responsive to what society needs. You know, we want our students to find their passions, and that'd be good, but it also needs to match a need within the community, and I think we're well suited to do that. Athletics has been a great program for us. There's some options for us there to look at whether our conference is the right one, is our classification right, and some of that. So, so there's a lot of ideas. I think it's thrown people quite a bit because they're meeting continuously. We have a large steering group, and I haven't dabbled into that. These are just things I've heard. So they haven't even shared the themes with me yet. So, but we will. That's the next phase as we have done the SWOT analysis that we'll move into, is then really studying these potential themes and narrowing it down to probably 5 major initiatives for the next 5 to 7 years, and then costing out what those will cost. So it's an exciting process to involve so many on the campus, and I'm excited to sort of see the results of that as well.
Dr. Susan Donovan, thank you for being with us today. Marvelous. Fantastic. Best wishes to you. Much success in your leadership. Before we adjourn, remember Barry Barker's phone number, 376-4983. Great to see everybody. Enjoy a sunny day before it starts snowing this weekend. This meeting is adjourned.